Have you seen the documentary Bluetooth? The documentary set out to prove that the vaccinated are emitting Bluetooth signals. The way they went about it is by getting a group of vaccinated people in a remote area to ensure no other Bluetooth devices were in the vicinity. Next, each vaccinated individual would pass by a Bluetooth scanner one by one. As the man Caesar approaches the Bluetooth scanner, we can see a MAC address appears. It is the code consisting of numbers and letters from A to F. The MAC address is emitted by a nameless Bluetooth low-energy device, commonly abbreviated as BLE, here as BTLE, but it's the same thing. If the device had a name, its name would have been visible instead of the MAC address. The researchers in Mexico noticed that people that did not have a MAC address at first and then went to spend some time around their smartphones that had Wi-Fi and 4G enabled would send out MAC addresses after being subjected to these radio frequencies. Therefore, they speculate that these BLE devices are charged by radio frequencies. Moreover, those MAC addresses were not the same. They changed, and this has to do with MAC address randomization. Another important find is that people that subjected themselves to the PCR test and were not vaccinated also had a MAC address. A solid testing strategy, isn't it? Did you know you can repeat their test with your smartphone? I was not able to find vaccinated people willing to repeat that test with me, hence I chose another route. Instead, I did a Bluetooth scan in a public indoor swimming pool. Seeing all the MAC addresses at the pool was convincing enough for me to create this video. The pool experiment is a strong indication, yet not as solid a proof as the method the Bluetooth guys used. Fortunately, it is easy for anyone with a smartphone to observe the phenomenon firsthand in their own experiments. People can repeat the Bluetooth method to obtain solid, undeniable proof for themselves. Perhaps Bluetooth scanning should become a viral trend, so we can all know and be sure the Bluetooth MAC phenomenon is real or not. Therefore, we'll go over how to configure a smartphone so it displays nameless Bluetooth devices. It seems the COVID-19 injections introduced a biotech Bluetooth LE or low energy device into the body that is at the very least capable of sending its MAC address over the 2.4 gigahertz band of the electromagnetic spectrum. Even if you can't believe that, those unknown BLE devices are definitely there. It seems a good idea to learn a bit more about Bluetooth Low Energy, also known as BLE. Did you know there are different implementations of Bluetooth? The way most people know Bluetooth is from connecting their phone to the car. That scenario fits in the Bluetooth Classic implementation. Bluetooth Low Energy, however, is designed to operate in low energy situations and to deal with chaotic network topologies. BLE devices can communicate with each other over point-to-point connections, over a mesh network, and do broadcast messaging. In contrast, Bluetooth Classic only supports point-to-point communication. In theory, a group of vaccinated people can have their own Bluetooth mesh network internet. It was the first time that I looked at Bluetooth technology, and this is what I found. What here is being displayed is 3 types of devices. This is a classic Bluetooth device, this is a BLE device, and this is a hybrid or dual mode. This device can do both, and then they pasted the technology stack below it, and we see that the classic has only like 5 blocks and the other ones have a lot more. And as we look further into it, these 3 blocks are the most relevant. Actually, only these 2, gap and GAT. And here at the low level, this one has LE phi, and this one has BR/EDR phi. And the phi is just an abbreviation for the physical layer. If you're interested in that, you can read more on this slide. I'm gonna move on. Here it already gets interesting. So Bluetooth devices, they do a thing that's called device discovery. And then they look around and they have this protocol to establish a connection. And they do it with this thing called GAP, or Generic Access Profile. And here are some more details about how that works. These low-level Bluetooth devices connecting to each other, they communicate to the GAP module of this thing. But this GAT thing is more interesting in my opinion, because there we have things like service discovery. So somebody that wants to know more about a Bluetooth device, like the nameless devices that we see when we do Bluetooth scanning, these devices are communicating to this GAT component to do service discovery. And I suppose if all goes well, then you get an answer back, like I can do this and I can do that. GAT is this block in the diagram, and they divide it up. This is, I guess, more software based, and this is more hardware based. And they call the upper part host and the lower part controller. Here we have an illustration of the 2 main ways that BLE devices communicate. We can see they make a differentiation between connectionless and connection-oriented, and this one is a connectionless one. You have devices broadcasting and a bunch of other devices that are observing or listening to the broadcast messages. So this is one way, the connectionless way, and this is the connection-oriented way, and then we see 2-way communication, as you can see in the arrows. Here is one-way communication, and here it's visualized another way once more. Here is a point to multi-point, and mesh is free for all, everybody to everybody. Here this guy is more centralized. On this slide is a lot of useful information. Here is some more documentation in case you want to read. The lower part of the slide we saw already in the previous slides. And so the Bluetooth low energy is this block here. And then we can read the different types of applications. So you have data transmission application, location service application, and this one is the most vague of all, device network application. So our MAC addresses, they are probably one or two things will apply from this area. Also interesting to know is that there are RFIDs using BLE technology, and this is a radio frequency identifier. This is like a wireless tag, and this thing has a battery life of up to 4 or 5 years, and it can reach distances of 200 meters. Ain't that something? I also wanted to mention MAC address randomization. What it is that you have electronical devices like Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or whatever, and they change their MAC address each time they connect to another device. And it supposedly, not supposedly, it does protect privacy to not have a unique identifier linked to your hardware. So in that way it does protect privacy. That's another thing. If you are scanning for these MAC addresses, they change all the time, and maybe not the same day, but who knows really when they change. But after some time they have another MAC address. So it's not that you can pinpoint one MAC address to a person, maybe only for a day. A few slides to show the distances BLE devices are able to overcome. You see it at the bottom, 35 to 55 meters. And then you have this other type. Here we are comparing the electromagnetic spectrum between Bluetooth Classic and Bluetooth Low Energy. Each needle is a channel, and there are 79 channels that are 1 megahertz wide, and they do adaptive frequency hopping. And then here in the Bluetooth Low Energy, we have wider channels, 40 of them. They are 2 megahertz wide, and they also do adaptive frequency hopping. And these 3 dark pillars, there was something going on with that too, but we have another slide coming that explains it. So this is another visualization. So these are the wider BLE channels. These are the Bluetooth Classic channels. That's really very segmented if you look at it. And then here you see the Wi-Fi channels. These 3 big bulbs, these are Wi-Fi channels. So a WLAN, this is a wireless local area network, or just Wi-Fi. Here we see what the dark needles were, because I forgot, but here it's very clear. And these are advertising channels. So they have specific channels that are, as you can see, not in the Wi-Fi channels, that they use for advertising. And then the other ones are Bluetooth low energy data channels, or they all are. They also can use a part of the Wi-Fi channels, I think, maybe, I don't know. And here again, this frequency hopping. Do you want to see frequency hopping? How that visually looks? Yeah, man, that was it. That was totally it. But you can see where you have these vertical lines. These are channels that Bluetooth uses, and then it sends a piece of data here, then here, and here. It just goes everywhere. It's pretty crazy. There's this other video. So this is displaying the same thing that was happening on the first video. Let me start by saying if I am wrong about this, that would be a good thing. For now, I'll continue with the grounded assumption the Bluetooth Mac phenomenon in the vaccinated is a real thing. Nobody knows what these BLE devices are doing, who is reading their data, and if the devices can be used to manipulate the body. Who most likely has access to the CV19 BLE devices are Big Pharma, Big Tech, and the government. None of these industries are trustworthy whatsoever. They don't have to do Bluetooth hacking, they have the keys. But what about Bluetooth hacking? People hack Bluetooth every day. From what I've heard, it's rather easy if you have some technical skills. An ethical Bluetooth hacker should do his or her thing on a vaccinated friend and report back. Can he hack it? Was it difficult? What are the capabilities or services, as we covered, of these devices? The Bluetooth Mac phenomenon has the potential to cause a huge shockwave in societies. Seemingly an unconscionable crime of unsolicited transhumanism is easily exposed by anyone with a smartphone. How will the people react? It is such a horrendous thing to be confronted with. At any rate, the more popular Bluetooth scanning becomes, the more evidence there will be and the greater the chances will be for justice, solutions, and truth. Thank you for listening.
Estoy en una plataforma metida en el mar a unos 50 a 100 metros de la orilla. Aquí hay un montón de gente bañándose, obviamente no llevan los móviles encima.